Sorry for the big gap between my videos. It's been like, I believe, since Christmas or even before Christmas since I made a video. I had a few things that I had to do, firstly uni and then other stuff. Basically, today I wanted to talk about starting your illustration and composition topic, because I've been asked about this a lot, and I think this is one of the main issues that one needs to know before starting to draw. So basically, here are two examples I wanted to show you with the illustration. The key today, what I wanted to talk about is the key to any successful illustration is planning. One might ask, how? Really? Is that so? Some people think that art is all about testing out and being artistic and creative and spontaneous. But yes and no. Basically, as a student or person who only starts to draw, you need to sort of be careful, in a way, plan ahead what you want to draw, as well as doodle and sketch. But without planning what you want to draw, you will probably end up wasting paper, because it's been with me, it happened. Basically, you start drawing something and something doesn't work out, and you start rubbing it out, drawing again, then rubbing it out in the end, until you continue until you basically see that you can no longer use this paper. Say, for example, some of the top layer of the paper is rubbed out completely, or you have loads of lines dented into the paper, and then when you color that, it'll be visible. So, and secondly, you will probably end up with a poor drawing. How many times you've seen, maybe, I don't want to pick on anybody, but you've seen the drawings, or you have the drawings where I say a face is here, and then, or here, and then teeny the body there. This is due to the poor composition, not knowing what you want to do. But however, there are just times when you're not quite sure what you want to do, and you don't know what you want to draw, and just want to draw something. In this case, is having a sketchbook, handy sketchbook like this one, is good, because you don't have to necessarily finish any drawing you're doing. You're just doodling, and one of those drawings might end up to be a final piece. Final illustration. Like, for example, with this one, I didn't know what to draw for this one. So, when I, for example, draw something, if I don't have a clear vision, or just have a sort of idea, but I don't want to waste paper, I would just take a sketchbook and doodle something. So, for example, firstly I had this idea. The guy with the sofa, loads of books and stuff. So I worked out the main thing, illustration, and I positioned my character accordingly. So I worked out what he's doing. He's reading probably a book, sitting on the floor. Behind him is a sofa, and he's sort of putting his arm on the sofa. It's clear. So then I take another piece of paper, A4 size, and doodle again. And this doodle is much more clear and stuff. So here I sort of worked out the position and anatomy of the character. So I worked out the pose, the way he's sitting. And then after I done this sketch, I started doing a clean sketch. What I mean by clean is that more or less all the lines are finished and fixed. And then they're light. They're not as heavy as here. And with this one, you could just do light sketches, more refined, more detailed, with the clothing on and everything, all detailed, which then I ink. Some artists who work digitally might not even need to do this, because with digital you just can get a different layer and draw over. But some artists, for example, use light table or light box, which is also a good thing, because you make this step, you draw everything out clothing and everything. Then you put it on the light table, and then put a proper final piece of paper, like say a board or watercolor paper, and ink straight onto that through the light box, which is perfectly fine. But for some people who don't have the light table, you need to be more precise. So I'll show you a couple of, like for example this one, also good illustration. I've even done the smaller on a smaller size of paper, the sketch before it. I even worked out the light, the shadows, where I want them, because it will be quite hard to figure it out right on the actual clean paper, clean drawing, and you might end up screwing it up, basically. Now I'll show you some of the sort of, from my point of view, bad images that I've done. So for example, this one, I completely didn't plan anything. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just drew up a head, and it wasn't quite centered because the way it is, and you would start thinking where you put a neck, body and stuff. So you already see that this side is empty. One might argue that, oh, you can cut it off and it's no problem. But then again, think, when you mount up the paper onto the board for the coloring, you would fix it with the tape. So you're already cutting out part of his shoulder, which is there. So it's already part of the image being wasted. If you planned it, if I planned it, I would have shifted him to such a position where if you place a border around his sticky tape, it won't harm, it won't be actually that bad. Second illustration I want to show is the example when you do have a spontaneous moment when you sort of start drawing and it works out, and it's sort of okay, but then again when you think about it into the details, it's not quite working out that well. For example, this one. One might say, what's wrong with that? It's looking awesome, or it's looking good. But then again, think, I placed her arms this way, to this, and didn't quite think what would she be doing. She just sort of stands in this position, but then why this arm is this way? Why is it not down there? Is she holding a sword or something? Yeah, she might be holding a sword, but then again, the sword should be from this side, not this side. So it's not quite there. I mean, the point of the illustration is not quite there. So you need to consider what you're drawing before you actually sit down to draw. You need to sort of plan ahead your composition, what your characters are doing, so that it would look finished, accomplished, before you actually sit down to draw it. So this was the main what I wanted to say today for the class video. Basically, I know it's boring because I'm not quite good at this myself, and all my lecturers and my even parents keep on telling me the same because I'm making the same mistakes. I literally sit down sometimes with the clean watercolor paper and start drawing something straight on without knowing what I draw, and when you get being a professional, more or less, you sort of get away with this. But being a starter, being a person who just starts drawing, you just get yourself more depressed, because I used to be like that. I would start with a clean paper and start drawing something, and it wouldn't work out. I would start rubbing it out, and it didn't work out as well, and I ended up with the hole in the paper or something like that, and it used to be so depressing. I would just, to the point when I would be just rushing in tears and crying that it's not working out. All that can be, you know, avoided by doodling, coming up with the idea of the concept, and already starting to draw whatever you already have with a clear vision of what you're drawing. So this is the key thing that I want you to carry out today. Start drawing on a clean piece of paper, something like, you know, you already know, clear, set up what you want to draw before you actually waste anything. And do loads of doodles. that. It's not necessary to have like, you know, cleaned up, really pretty looking sketch. You know, just doodle. Might give you some good ideas which you can then put it in. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope this video was helpful to you, and see you next time.